Everybody, welcome. Ralph Havens here, and just about ready to put this on Facebook. So hang out with me for just a minute. Something really cool coming in today, and I'm up pretty early. Let's see. I'm up pretty early. Perfect time for some of my East Coast friends, and definitely good timing for the people in Africa and Europe and the Middle East and Far East. Lots of people that I've noticed that are checking in with these Facebook Lives and these YouTube stations, offerings from all over the place. So super happy to see that. I'm glad you guys are liking it. So I'm just about to put it on Facebook. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, that's what we're up to. Today it's going to be, what came to me was something really cool that happened with Jen, and it kind of brought it to the front again when I was talking with somebody yesterday. And so she was really upset with the state of the world, things around Trump and around the way animals are treated and all sorts of things that were just like really bugging her. Let's see where I can get this. I'll just go ahead and let's see. I'll just call it How to Change the World. And we'll go without force. We'll call it that for now. And so I want to talk a little bit about that and some stuff that happened to me. So I had, let me just let this load up to make sure it's on. Let's see. Yes, it looks like we are on. Okay, so welcome everybody. Ralph Havens here, autoimmuneanswers.com. And this morning's session, some interesting stuff came in. And I was talking with somebody yesterday, and she was really distraught about what was going on with the world, with the United States, with Trump, all sorts of things about the environment. And then when she started talking about how she wanted to help people with, help kids, and especially abused kids. And then she started talking about wanting to help animals. So humane society stuff. She just broke down, started crying, just inconsolable, and just like, just really upset with the way things are. And she wasn't volunteering at the Humane Society or to help kids. It just caused her too much pain. And she was really just upset about the way things are in the world, in the United States, and Trump. And so how to change the world, how can you change the world? And so years ago, I used to, when I was a little kid, 12 years old, I started getting really bad teeth issues. I even got a root canal, I think, when I was 12. And it was when we were up in Wisconsin. And so all sorts of problems. And every 6 months I was doing exactly what I was told. I was told as a little kid that I had a heart murmur and that I would always have to take antibiotics before I got my teeth cleaned. And every 6 months I was going to the dentist to get worked on because I did what I was told. And just like going to get your car serviced, you want to keep your car working really well, so you go change the oil every 6 months. So I was doing what I was told, So every 6 months going to the dentist and getting teeth cleaned and doing antibiotics before, and it was quite a process. You did it the day before and the day of and the day after. And then it got to the point where it's like, well, we're finding that, you do it the day of, but you don't need to do it any more than that. And I was going along every 6 months getting antibiotics to get my teeth cleaned. And then something happened. As a lot of you might know, I got well. I cleared a running injury, and I cleared an anxiety and sweating issue. But along the way, my teeth healed. And I realized it because I no longer had to pay off a dentist. I was no longer paying off a dentist. So I was going every 6 months and still getting my antibiotics and getting my teeth cleaned. And my dental bill, which I had had a dental bill for many, many years that I was just paying off thousands of dollars, was paid off. And I wasn't getting any more cavities and no more problems. And I realized it was part of it was the sessions, the techniques, the trainings that I was learning and I was having done to me and I was working on myself with and clearing stuff out. And also part of it was the diet. So I'd found a really cool thing, a diet from the 1930s that was actually indigenous even before that, thousands and thousands of years old. And this dentist, Weston A. Price, found it by studying indigenous people from all over the world over a 10-year period and wrote it down into a great book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration. Still just the book. If you want to know about nutrition and health, that is the book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, Weston A. Price. And so I studied with a teacher in San Diego, Annie Drew. She taught us how to eat this way and how to make food this way in line with indigenous cultures. And we got well. Jen got well from a lot of stuff. I got well. My teeth were really good. And they continue to be good. I'm 59 now. And so for the past 22 years, no problems after having problems from age 12 to 37. So I was talking to my dental hygienist and telling her, hey, I found this, this is the work. This is what is really key to help people's teeth heal so they don't have to keep getting all these dental stuff going on. And the dentist came in to see how I was doing. He always came in to say hi. I had been paying him a lot of money, right, for many years. And I told him, hey, this is what I found. This is why I'm no longer getting cavities. And he condescendingly put his hand on my shoulder and said, Ralph, you're going to live a long life. And he walked out. And I was like, what the hell? Isn't he interested in this? Doesn't he want to know this? I mean, this is like saving my life. My clients are getting healthier. We're using this stuff. He's a doctor. Doesn't he want to know this stuff? I was like, what the hell? I think I went back one more time, another 6 months later, and I'm like, I'm done. And so I was like, how do I get this word out to people? I was like, I was showing this doctor and he didn't even want to hear it. I mean, I know he was making a lot of money from what he was doing and the way he was doing things, but I just showed him how his clients could get really well, really fast and do very well. And he was just like, yeah, that's great, Ralph. That's great. And this person that I talked to yesterday, she said, Ralph, if your work works so well, then how come doctors, if doctors knew this, when they found it, they would just jump on this and they would send everybody to you. And I'm like, yeah, you'd think that would be the case, right? You'd think it'd be the case. It astounds me that it's not the case. I mean, there are doctors that send me people and trust me and like me, and I like a lot of doctors. There's some really good people I know in San Diego and up here. I've talked to one that found me and sent me people because of what he saw. But I was also running into this, like, how do you tell people about this stuff and get it out? And so that was my big internal struggle, And so so I was going along and even just to back up about the teeth thing, before that, the dentist had said, hey, I went to my other doctor and said, hey, do I have a heart murmur? And he looked at me and said, no, you don't have a heart murmur. And so at some point, either I had one and it went away or I never had one. But he said, yeah, you don't need to take antibiotics. So I went back to the dentist and showed him that. And he says, okay, no more antibiotics. But he, as time went by, this was before that incident talking to him about the diet. Before that, he said, Ralph, the research is now showing that you don't have to take antibiotics. Like, it's actually the risk of taking antibiotics is greater than the risk of any kind of infection from not taking antibiotics before you get your teeth cleaned. That's what the Dental Association has now found. And so what's interesting was it was never useful to take antibiotics before. They thought it was, but it was not valid information, It was, I think they might have been doing what they thought was best, but then new information came to light and it wasn't true. It was never true after all. But this other information that's tested over thousands of years and that Weston A. Price found in the 1930s, that's useful, right? I mean, that's been proven over thousands of years, and then it was proved to myself. So I had this wall of what do we do with this? You know, there's people pushing antibiotics, and now when you think of, if you look at the vaccine story and what's going on with vaccines, it's a very similar story, you know, about how to, like, you've got this bacterial thing or this viral thing, and you're going to protect somebody by injecting something with known toxins and heavy metals into little babies and pregnant women to protect them. That's one way to look at it, but might it be something similar to my story with the antibiotics? If you look deeply into the vaccine issue, there's a lot of questions that are like being glossed over. And so it might be useful to go do your own research on that. But how do you get that information out to people? And when you find stuff that's just like not as useful, and if you could get some things that could help people really thrive and get the right information, what do you do? And so, you know, for years I was fighting the system, and trying to like tell people about this stuff, and don't you see, and you can be healthier if you just do certain things and certain ways. But Jen came up with something really cool. She said, you know, Ralph, how when we think of our own health, and we're eating a certain way, and then because of that, our gut bacteria are doing well, and we don't get infections, and we're not susceptible to these different viruses, and we're like way healthier, and we're healing on the inside, so that then all this external stuff in the world, the viruses, the bugs, the stuff, doesn't affect us. Maybe it's the same way with these people that are putting disinformation out into the world, or these people that just aren't going with the stuff that's working, even after they've been seeing that it's useful, because they're in a system that's promoting things like antibiotics and vaccines when maybe it's not as useful and actually quite harmful. Maybe instead of fighting them and treating them like the enemy, kind of like Trump, you know, maybe instead of fighting whatever you believe in politically, instead of fighting it, maybe there's a different way. And maybe we can change ourselves, our own internal environment, and then the external environment changes. And so I was like, wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, because it's like with the idea of antibiotics and bugs, there's the idea of there's 85% good bugs and 15% bad bugs in our gut. That's the basic idea. And this balance of good and bad is really useful. So it's actually useful to have some of these so-called bad bugs and then a lot of the good bugs, and that balance of like this kind of like game between the two of them keeps things very, very healthy. And so instead of trying to fight the bad bugs, we can just get our environment so healthy, our internal environment, and then the good bug, bad bug relationship is in balance. Similar to anything, including things like Trump or whatever you believe in politically that's not right with the world, or the kids or the animals, and different things like that. And so, you know, can you really get yourself sick enough and cry enough and be distraught enough and post on Facebook enough all the stuff you hate and make the world a better place? Maybe there's a different way. So Jen had this other idea. And what we realized was, wow, there is a way to do this. We found something about a little over a year or two ago that that goes right to the core, so that you can change yourself, so we can change ourselves. And all these obstacles, whether it's a political obstacle or some problem in the social system, like the kids and the animals, or infections and viruses and bacteria, or disinformation in medical systems, all these obstacles actually are miracles. They're miracles because they give us a chance to look at ourselves and then shift something really deep. And when that's shifted, then the external world changes. I had a lady that came to see me, that had a terrible foot problem. She was dealing with it, but it popped out all the time, many times a day, and caused her a lot of pain and problems. And you couldn't even get close to her. Like if you got about 2 or 3 feet away from the foot, you would feel this big cushion of air. Even somebody that doesn't feel energy would go, oh my God, you can't touch that foot. And so, and when you heard the story, there was lots of stuff that happened, almost lost the foot after an accident, had lots of surgeries and stuff that went wrong and things that were missed, and lots of stress around that foot. So I did this technique where she could, she actually did it. I showed her how to go deep inside and look inside herself and clear something related to all of that. And then by the end of the session, 1 hour, she was like, I don't think I have a problem with the foot. And I said, well, let's test it, because you want to test and retest, right? And make sure you did something. And I touched her foot, and it was like totally okay to touch her foot. So I did this technique that I was going to do, and touching her foot, and it was no problem. And ever since then, her foot didn't pop out anymore, didn't cause her problems, and she didn't have any issue with anybody touching her foot. And the way we did it was the same technique that I want to show you guys, that I use every day. Every day, I use it even throughout the day, continually, many times, but especially when any obstacles show up, any angst, any problems I see in the world, or in something I want to change, and I go inside, and there's a way to truly shift it. And it's different than regular meditation or trying to be okay with stuff or thinking certain ways. And I want to get it for you. And I'm really passionate about people having this. So if you go to my website, ralphhavens.com/enlightenup, ENLIGHTENUP, ralphhavens.com/enlightenup. I've got that for you. I wrote it up with a couple of other cool secrets, 3 secrets that can help you really get things shifted for yourself, help you get what you want, and a video session that I did with people earlier this year, where I walk people through it and do it for you. So, so if you're looking for how to change the world without having to fight so much, and maybe without needing to be so distraught, you can still be distraught, but there's a way to not have to fight and really go to what it truly is, and then shifting that. And then the environment is different. Your internal environment is different. Kind of like my internal environment was different with my teeth. You know, I got myself healthier, and then the bad bugs, bacteria and stuff didn't affect my my teeth anymore. So so it's cool that I got that. But what I really got out of this was that there's a way to use these obstacles, these pains, these problems, the things that really bug you, whether it's Trump, or whether it's vaccines, or whether it's antibiotics, or whether it's the state of affairs with the environment, or just the way things are going on with kids, or the way things are going on with animals. Whatever that is for you that brings you great angst, what I found is it's a real blessing, absolutely blessing, a miracle, and not in an airy-fairy or positive thinking kind of way, but an actual way, because it gives you an access in, a way to go right to the core of what that is and change that. And when that is changed, a lot of stuff changes, kind of like that lady's foot. So I know I got up really early for this one. I was up earlier, and it just all came to me like, oh, I got to just do this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to just write it down and keep thinking about it. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about all this. And I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Until next time, tomorrow, let's get out there and live. Let's really live.